I think we have a solid team going in. Like you said, we have 14 people going with us on the men's side. And I feel like if everybody executes, we can place as high as we can, and we have some of the best performances on the relay.
What do you think are your chances?
For my chances, well, all I'm running is a 4x4, and this being my last year, I'm gonna give it everything I got. You know, once I step on the track, I'm gonna be prepared, and I'm just gonna surround myself around my teammates and just try to uplift them, knowing that we're just gonna do the best we can.
How confident are you though? Now you've done this, you've done this before, and how confident are you personally what you can do?
Well, I mean, to me, confidence-wise, I'm a very confident person, but what I can do for my team, that's all that matters to me.
That's the same question I have for him about the relays. Different combinations, they'll seem to usually find a way to make it work. What do you attribute that to?
Well, the thing is, Coach Dudley is the head, and we're like the tail, so whatever contribution like he makes, and whatever decision that he makes, he let us make as well. And like he said, we're one heartbeat. There's not four heartbeats. We come together as one, as a team, and as a unit. And whatever change we have to make, we just make them and go with it.
Same question I had for Manny, just about the rankings, and I don't know how much attention you pay to that, but do you feel like y'all are a little bit better than that ranking, perhaps?
Most definitely, we're better than the ranking that we're seeded at, but due to not making it in different events, they kind of set us below the standard that we really are. And ranking, like Manny said, ranking really is not a concern, because the day of the meet and the day of the race is who's going to show up and who's going to run and who's going to execute the race. So it's kind of what have you done for me today, or what have you done for me lately kind of world in track and field. So rankings really don't matter to me or to my teammate.
Fabian, what do you want to get out of NCAAs?
What do I want to get out of it? I want to be All-American. That's the goal. Like, that's the goal since I've been here. My coach always give us like this paper at the beginning of the year. It's like, what are your goals? What do you want to be by the end of the year? What are your expectations? Do you feel like you're a leader of a team? And every year she's like, what are your goals? And the hammer, I'm like, that's my personal, that's my number one sport, my number one event in track. And I'm like, I want to be All-American in it before I leave. So if I can accomplish that, that'd be greater than anything. Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal for Iowa?
Ultimate goal for nationals, most is to PR, and if I PR, that will definitely get me into the final. And I would love to be top 5 and just represent my team and myself. And if I do PR, it will definitely be a sub 52, and I will just be so proud of myself that I pushed through everything and I worked so hard to get there, and top 5 would be a great accomplishment.
You being a junior this year, you've been there a few times.
Yes, sir.
So my question is it anything different about this time than the last?
Confidence-wise, yes. Training, I think background training, I think I've done more with my coach and on my own, and I've just been more focused, definitely. And because I've posted times that before I thought I could not do, even though I had it in myself and I had the ability to, I just felt more confident in myself that yes, I'm able to accomplish a lot of stuff. So the main thing was my confidence. It boosted. So.
All right. Thank you.
Coach's opening statement right here. Expectations, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, my answer is going to be exactly like my kids. We're going to go to Des Moines and try to duplicate what we did to get there. We don't get into this to try to perform at a much higher level than we have before we actually got there. I think that's the worst thing you can do as a team, as an athlete, to try to be substantially better than you were when you got there. Because you make mistakes when that happens. You take from March all the way to June every single week to get that one performance to get to nationals, and then you think in one moment in time you're going to supersede what you've done in 3 months. I don't think you should look at it that way. You should go and try to duplicate what you did to get there. if you do that, then good things will happen. You'll score, you'll make All-American.
You know, the guys talking about not paying attention to rankings, does that tell you that they have the right mentality in that regard?
Yes, I mean, you know, you don't get to walk out on the track with the rankings on your chest. I mean, they're not going to let you have a head start because you're ranked higher than somebody else. They're not going to let you, they're not going to add inches to your throw or your jump because you're ranked a certain thing. Everybody's ranked the same when you go to Des Moines. Everybody was ranked the same when we went to Jacksonville. You know, rankings, and we had a lot of people ranked high going into Jacksonville that's going to be drinking Coca-Colas in the stands. Okay, rankings don't mean anything. I don't mean one hill of beans to me. At the end of the day, when it's over with, where you at the end, that's what's the most important thing. You can't get caught up on rankings.
Well, what are your expectations going into?
My expectations is to duplicate what we did to get there. You know, Fabian threw 200 plus and the hammer and throw just duplicate. You know, Erica scored 5,500 in the heptathlon, just duplicate it. We ran 303 low in the 4x4, just duplicate it. We ran 39.17 in the 4x1, just duplicate it. If you go in there and try to run 259 in the 4x4 or throw 220 in the hammer or run 38.40 in the 4x1, you start trying to do those things and you'll make mistakes and then you won't even score points. So I think you just need to duplicate what it took to get there. And if you do that, you'll have a successful team championship. And that's what it is a team championship. We got a pretty good streak of being in the top 25 on the men's side. And we have an outside shot of this year of being the first time in a long time being top 25 on the women's side. Looking at rankings, women are ranked 62nd. I believe we're going to be higher than that if we duplicate what we did to get there. The men are ranked 27th now, whatever. If we duplicate what we did to get there, we'll finish higher than 27th.
What do you tell the freshmen like Erica or Jared Samuels, you know, just prepare them for this kind of, you know, a new experience, obviously?
Well, it is a new experience and it's been the finals of the NCAA championships, but it's still the same events they've been doing for their entire life.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be very similar to shooting a free throw. I don't think once you get to the NCAA championship game, you start shooting them underhanded. You shoot them the same way you did when you got there. So as long as they go to the national championships and execute what they've learned, you know, from August till now, and do that with a progressive nature and mentality, good things will happen. And that's what we try to do. We try to stick together as a unit, number one, and then number two, we try to be aggressive in everything that we do. And being aggressive at everything you do is not easy. And it's not easy to learn for these athletes either because you crash and burn a lot of times. You know, but I don't think, you know, it's like I tell them all the time, I don't think we learned how to fly in an airplane by staying on the ground. You know, you have to crash and burn a few times, you know, especially in some of the sprint events where if you're really, really aggressive, you kind of die at the end and you get exposed. It's not like you've got 11 or 12 people out on the field that can kind of cover some stuff up. You're out there by yourself with everybody looking at you when that happens. So sometimes it's tough mentally to be aggressive and to put yourself in a position where you're going to die. But the only way to become great is to learn how to be aggressive. I've never seen any great moments where people have not been aggressive. I've never seen them be passive and all of a sudden have a great moment. Maybe y'all seen that, but I haven't. I'd rather be aggressive in everything that we do. Now, unfortunately, when you're aggressive, a lot of times there are some mistakes. But I'd rather be aggressive, try to do something great, than be passive and just kind of be there. Kind of different note. I was just kind of jotting down some notes. We've got 12 different kids, men and women together, that have qualified for the respective Olympic trials. So that's pretty good as well. This is an Olympic year as well, so the kids have got a little bit more on their mind than NCAA championships and then months afterwards as well.
Chemistry like on the team, and I know teammates and get real close.
Well, I think Manny said it best. You know, obviously to give you kind of an analogy with the men, you know, at pin relays, we're in the lead. We get the stick knocked out from behind. We come home, everybody's, you know, what's wrong with the 4x4? Then we move on to SEC championships, and then we get tripped up by somebody and fall down on the track. And so, you know, it's usually those things don't usually happen in the 4x4. You can kind of see it sometimes maybe in the 4x1 dropping the stick, but not the 4x4. So a lot of people was kind of, damn, what's wrong with Mississippi State's? We're always known for the 4x4, but I think what you found in both situations where it was a different team member that was involved or whatever mistake happened, if you want to call it a mistake, accident, mistake, whatever it is, but you have the other ones that would run over and pick that one up. And that's extremely important, because that same teammate, you don't want them to stay down, because obviously now they got the NCAA championships. You know, there's meets that they're going to run in the future, so the worst thing you can do is get down on each other. It's okay for the rest of the world to get down on you guys as a group or girls as a group, but you can't get down on each other, because you really got to, those are the ones, they've got to depend on each other. As coaches, we're just sitting on the other side of the fence praying that things go good. We have zero control on what's going on out there. They have all the control. So if they're, you know, like Coach Mr. Tate there said as well, having one heartbeat and not having 4 individual hearts or everybody having their own way, that's how you make it through the tough times together. I think we've probably seen that more in one sport here at Mississippi State. You have one heartbeat, you can make it through anything.
How hard is it to get to that point? Because like you said a minute ago, track and field is such an individualized sport in so many ways. To get a group to come together like that.
It is individualized, but I mean, if anybody that's spent any time going to some of the bigger meets, for example, Jacksonville this past weekend, where you have 3 days in a row of very tough competition. You know, for example, Thursday went pretty good for us, really okay. Friday, we kind of didn't have a really good Friday. We've been real easy on Saturday morning to get up and say, hey, let's just get on the van and fly back to Starkville. Things aren't going the way we want it to, you know. And that was one of the things that we did. We met as a group, you know, and I drew 4 or 5 hearts on a piece of paper and said, do we want to be 4 or 5 different hearts, or I flipped it and drew 1 heart, or we want to be 1 heart. If we 1 heart, we'll go to the track today and act that way and compete that way and get more to nationals than what people think we're going at this point when we go to nationals. Or if we're going to be separate hearts, we'll get on the van and come home. We obviously chose to have 1 heart. And Saturday was a good day. Fabian kicked it off for us. For her to be 3rd in the region and came in ranked 10th or 12th or whatever, all of a sudden she showed an example that, hey, maybe it is an individual sport, but the energy created by one individual that spreads to the other ones all of a sudden makes it a team sport. That's what's so good about having 4x4. 4x4 is always the last event of the track meet. And if you've got a good 4x4, even if some things that went bad during the track meet and you leave it winning that or doing well in that, you always live with